This is a quick video on how to reload the string on a Ryobi 40 volt expanded weed eater. The nut was on there pretty tight, so I had to use a pair of pliers to get it started. Just note that this is reverse threaded. After you have the knob removed, the spool should just come right out of the housing. I bought the replacement line from Home Depot. It's nothing special, it was only about $10. An interesting fact though is that they actually make this out of ground up rhino bits. So there's probably a more scientific way to determine how much string to load onto the spool, but since you're watching a YouTube video instead of reading the directions, I got a feeling we're on the same page. Anyhow, I guesstimated around 20 feet or so, which would give me about 10 feet on either side of the spool, and I went ahead and cut it loose so I could begin loading it. The spool has one hole on each side of it. You just have to feed the line through this hole and then pull it through so that you have an equal amount of line on each side of the spool. You can see on the spool that the holes are kind of notched so that whenever you start winding it, it will push the line down into one of the channels. There's not a whole lot to see here, so I'll go ahead and fast forward. After you're done winding, it helps to snap the line into these little clips on the spool to keep it from unraveling. And then just feed the line through the holes on each side of the housing. Usually this is the trickiest part, but just like anything else, if you fiddle with it long enough, then you eventually get it right. And just make sure that the spool is seated all the way down into the housing, and you can go ahead and screw the bump knob back in place. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I clipped off one of the whiskers here, and then gave it a couple test bumps to make sure it was feeding correctly, and everything was looking good. In the past, it hasn't always fed for me correctly the first time, and I found that it helps to just push the spool in and then manually pull the string out a couple times to get it started. This could be possibly because the line was still being held up by the clips inside, or was maybe otherwise just jammed inside the spool somewhere. But who really knows? We don't explain it, we just fix it. So that's it for this video. Hit the like button if this was helpful, and thanks for viewing.